It's your boy Dwell, all up in the mix, aquí en la casa, descansando, salí de jale, haciendo de comer, ayudando a hacer de comer y ahora pues aquí andamos. Primeramente quiero send a shout out to Also Creative Media for helping me out with the sideways intro and the sideways logo. Also, as in bear in Spanish, OSO. I mean, I don't think that's what it is. I think it's just like Also Creative. So it's OSO Creative Media at Instagram, in Instagram. That's the guy who helped me with the sideways logo, intro and outro. Today's topic, what I want to talk about is something que he tenido yo ya en la mente por mucho tiempo. Una experiencia que yo he tenido toda mi vida en el trabajo, particularly at work and at the outside environment. Not really at school, not really with my friends, not really with but I could give points of views or experiences in those ways too. If you hear some noise, hey, I'm inside my house. Este video me senté aquí a hacerlo adentro de la casa, so you might hear some people chit-chatting or some noise. Don't mind them at all. My topic is, for the Raza, for the Mexicans, Mexican Americans especially. What are we? Mexican? Chicanos? Paisanos? Pochos? Or are we American? You know what I mean? What are we? Because, I consider myself Mexicano 100%. I wasn't born in Mexico. I was born right here in California, Santana. But my parents, my parents are immigrants. They came from Mexico at a very young age. My mom, I think she was 18. My dad was 13, 14 when he got to the U.S. So his whole youth, both their youths basically, they lived here. So my dad, growing up, he always told me, and my mom always told me, que I was Mexicano. Eres Mexicano. Be proud to be Mexicano. And at the same time, they would tell me, you're Chicano. Because you're born in America. You're Mexican, but you're born in America. So also be proud that you're a Chicano. In reality, you're a Chicano too. So don't ever be ashamed to say you're a Mexicano. If someone asks you que si eres Mexican, say, yeah, Mexican. Someone asks if you're American, Mexican American, yeah, Mexican American. So yeah, Chicano. So at the end of the day, I always say I'm Chicano. You ask me, I'm Mexicano. Mexican American. Filling out a paper, obviously I don't put Chicano. I say Mexican American. Yeah, that's what I think I am, and eventually throughout the years, I have the opportunity. I started looking into books and reading about cultura, the Mexican culture. I for a little while, I got real deep into the Aztec, the Mexica, the Purepecha, which are the ones, the Native Americans of Mexico from Michoacan, because that's where basically I can trace my roots from there, Michoacan. My mom and my dad are from Michoacan, from a little rancho in Granjenal. El Granjenal, that's the name of the rancho. Give me 1 minute. Right, I'm back. Like I said, I'm helping cook some food. Cooking the chicken. Yeah, so like I said, they always taught that. My dad didn't know English. You know what I mean? He knew it like that. He understood it like that. I mean, he could probably get away with some stuff if he had to, but he wasn't really literate. Like he couldn't read in English or write. Barely in Spanish. My mom could speak it a little better than my dad, but and write it a little bit more than my dad. So even now, my mom could have a full conversation with you in English, but it's obviously with an accent. So yeah, they always told me I'm Mexicano. Me and my sister, son Mexicanos. Ustedes son de Granjenal. You know, if somebody even tells you where you're from, say de Granjenal, de Michoacán. Tiene sangre michoacana. So back to it, like I said, I studied, I got into wanting to study all that culture. I studied about the Revolución, Pancho Villa, Zapata. I mean, to a certain extent, but I wanted to learn about that. I wanted to learn about I kind of went more into that Azteca type learning, what they were about, the pyramids, the ways of life, and I studied it pretty good. I got into it where I thought I was Aztec, you know what I mean? And I can say that for another story, but that's why I have a video, 23andMe. I did my DNA testing because of some situation or thought I had, but I wanted to find out, you know, how really Azteca I was, how indigenous, how deep were my roots in the Mexicano culture, in the Mexican culture. Yeah, and then with my friends, I live in Santana. It's pretty much the highest percentage of Mexican. You know what I mean? There's different people out there. There's a group of Morenos, black people, a little bit. You know, I guess back in the day in Santana there was a little bit more. I think white people back in the day, it's rare. Yeah, there's white people, but you don't see them too much. You know, there's Asian communities too, and other Latino groups too, you know. But the majority, I mean, at least me, everywhere I went to, the majority was Mexicans. You went to school, pretty much everybody was Mexicano, you know, Chicanos, born here. Some people, yeah, not all the kids you grew up with, not all the people you talk to are born here, but they're Mexicanos. Maybe they got here at a young age. I know people at second grade, you know, when I was in elementary, that were born in Mexico. They were just brought here early, and to some extent, a lot of my good friends grew up here and basically became citizens, residents, and some are still illegal. I mean, to that extent, you know. But yeah, so even in between us, we always thought we would say Mexican. We're Mexican. We had pride. We had pride in saying we're Chicanos. Yeah, we're Chicanos. And our conversations we had relating to that, or whenever it was brought up, you know, you hear other friends say, "Arriba Zacatecas, Michoacán, que Jalisco," you know, and all for the fun. You know what I mean? We always bump Spanish corridos and mariachi and banda whenever we have the opportunity. Even now, you know what I mean? So. This is the debate I see, you know what I mean? Because that's how I see myself, you know what I mean? But then growing up, you start going to work, you start hanging out, talking to other people, to other Mexicanos, and you start seeing the way they think. Sometimes I take it kind of offense, but it's like, well, they don't know no better, or they do and they don't care. But I don't take it to an offense where like it's gonna hurt me, or I'm gonna want to hurt them, or talk back towards them. But a lot of times you hear the Raza de Mexico at work, you know what I mean? A lot of them, I mean, don't have papers, or they have too much pride. They have so much pride that they're from Mexico that they take offense if you don't know Spanish. Because there's a lot of Mexican Americans that have been here. Their family has been here for 2-3 generations, 4 generations. And they believe they're Mexican too. It's just they don't know Spanish, you know. They don't know Spanish. I mean, they grew up in the United States of America, where the language is English. So eventually, that's what it's gonna be. I have a little daughter too. Trust me, I teach her. I want her to learn Spanish, not for the sake that she's Mexican. You know, I tell my daughter too, you're Mexican. Why? Because at the end of the day, my wife is Mexican. She came from 2 Mexicans, you know what I mean? So we're not tainted in reality to that extent. So that's why I tell my you know what, you're Mexican. You know what I mean? This is not to bash no other ethnicity. I'm just talking my points of views. If we were mixed, then I'd tell her, hey, you're this too. You know what I mean? If I were mixed, I'm this, I'm that. But in reality, I tell her we're not mixed. So yeah, so you're Mexican, you know what I mean? So, and I teach her Spanish because, yeah, I tell her too, hey, if you could learn another language, if I could teach you to speak an Asian language, Chinese, France, because there's, like I said, in California, there's I don't know, the Vietnamese community, Cambodian community. If you could learn a language, hey, more power to you. But Yeah, so back to now that I'm grown up, you know, I see all these Mexicans always like they call me pocho, they call other people pochos, they say, ah, you guys are Mexican, no son, ustedes son nacidos aquí, so no son mexicanos. So I'm like, and a lot of us, I see there's a separation sometimes. I don't take it to that route, but there is like Mexican Americans that like separating themselves. You know what I mean? They still say they're Mexican, but they separate themselves from the paisanos, the Mexican born people from Mexico. But, you know, sometimes what I see is like, in reality, you have so much pride for Mexico. You know what I mean? You take offense in reality to other, sometimes to the white man, or this fool only speaks English, but it's like, bro, you came to a country where it's a mixed diversity. We gotta learn and respect that too. It is what it is. At the end of the day, if you're really about Mexico, I mean, you could have stayed. You know what I mean? In reality, I'm not trying to bash nobody. I know we all have. My parents came for a reason. You know what I mean? Maybe they came for a reason, but at the end of the day, you have to respect where you came from. I know my history. This was Mexico at one point. Trust me, I know my history. To some extent, and even before the government Mexico, this was Aztec nation, which is Mexico. But now it is what it is. It's been what it is. You know what I mean? It's colonized. It's a USA, and it's an English speaking language. So respect where you're at. It is what it is. It's a great country. Probably, you know, I'm blessed that I was born here, and you know. So I wouldn't know how it is to live in another country, but from the looks of it, this is probably one of the most. It's a good country at the end of the day. I still have my views, but we could say that for another topic. But yeah, back to what I was saying. A veces nos dicen pochos y que no somos de aquí y que nosotros nacimos aquí. Pocho, a mí mi jefe me enseñó que pochos, a mí así me dijo when I was younger, un pocho. On top of that, my dad would say he was Chicano because he grew up here. My dad was a lowrider culture. Yeah, lowriders growing up. So he would tell me un pocho es un güero con un mexicano mixed up. When they mix and that comes out, that's a pocho. But the definition of pocho, if you look it online, it means a Mexican who has lost his tradition. I don't know what way a Mexican can lose his tradition. There's probably different ways, but I don't think language is one of them. Because language, Spanish is not, that's what I was talking to a Mexican about this the other day, by Mexicano like me, but born in Mexico. I was telling him, he didn't know that. He didn't know Spanish is not a real Mexican language. Spanish is a European language, just like English. English is not native to this country. You know what I mean? We speak it in English, but it's not native to this country. It's the Indios from here used to speak their languages till we got colonized. Same for Mexico. Same idea. He didn't know that. So I was talking to him. You know, I was like, why do you think? Why? You know, I'm not a pocho, right? I'm not a pocho. I told him one day, hey, I'm not a pocho, because in between all of them they say los pochos. They're like, hey, you know, I'm not a pocho, right? But since they're not gonna accept if I say I'm a Mexicano, I tell them I'm a Chicano. In a respectful way, you know. I'm not trying to start beef, but I kind of trying to defend myself and teach them something, you know. They're like, you're still pocho, playing around, you know. Hey, you're a pocho. Eres un pocho, güey. But then I get into like, hey, do you call your kids? Do you teach your kids they're Mexican? What do you tell them? Hey, eres Mexicano? Or you don't tell them you're Mexicano? And that's a big question, because I've seen them pause. I've seen some guys say, you know what, I do teach my kid. Que así le digo que es Mexicano. Then, bro, there you go. Other people say, you know what, I've heard them say, no, I don't say they're Mexican, because they're born here. They're born here, so they're Mexican American. I'm like, okay, at least you acknowledge that. Mexico-Americanos. I'm like, well, I guess you understand that. But at the end of the day, it even traces back. The Aztecs used to call the people on this side, which is U.S., California, Aztlan, and the other states, they used to call the people Chicanos. Back in those days, I think we're all the same people, you know what I mean? But they used to call these tribes Chicanos. So that's why we stayed. I learned this in the college, in a U.S. college, you know. I took some courses on that. But yeah, you know, I just want to pretty much state this, you know. I mean, sometimes they, you know, a lot of people don't know. They're from Mexico, but they don't even know their own history. Sometimes I told them, hey, you know, I told one of the same guys too, hey, you know, the Aztecs were a real powerful empire, one of the smartest empires in the world. Who knows where we would be today? I mean, regardless the sacrificing and all that stuff, all the negative parts, if you were to take that out, but leave everything else, we were a high class society, and the reason we're not that level because we got suppressed. But he didn't know that. He thought, he's like, he didn't know the Aztecs built pyramids. He's like, what? I thought they were just. I'm like, what? You're from Mexico, bro. You don't know that? You know, he kind of did like, I always thought somebody else built him. I was like, you're tripping, bro. You know, there you go. You need to learn your own stuff before you can't call me that I'm not a Mexicano. Because at the end, you're born over there, but you don't know much about your own, you know. And so it's like, it's a little contradiction, you know. That's my topic is like, we all need to that's why we're so divided too. We all need to stand Mexicano, Paisano, Chicano, somos uno, you know. Somos uno, somos los mismos. Si eres paisano, viniste de México y tu esposa también vino de México, ¿qué diferencia tienen tus hijos? You know what I mean? Somos mexicanos al fin del día. Chicanos. Chicano es otra palabra de mexicano. Chicano significa descendiente de mexicano. Es otra palabra. ¿Qué es? Porque dices que soy michoacano, ¿no significa que eres mexicano o sí? A huevo. Si dices que yo soy zacatecano de Guadalajara, Jalisco, tú estás diciendo que eres mexicano al fin del día. Y lo mismo es chicano, soy chicano. Estás diciendo que eres mexicano. So esa es mi cosa. You know, my topic is, ¿qué somos? ¿Tú qué opinas? What do you think of the situation? What are you here? Drop a comment if you can. You know what I mean? Give me some thoughts. Whoever's watching, like I said, I got a little bit of subscribers, but I'm trying to bring it up. You know what I mean? I'm trying to bring it up. Let me know what you think. You know, toda la raza, hay que aprender. Somos uno al fin del día. Chicanos, we're all one. I see a lot of Chicanos calling them paisanos, paisas. Bro, they're your parents, it's your dad, it's your uncle, it's the same people. You know, we can't undermine these que pochos, bro. It's your sons, it's your nephews, it's your nieces. What's the difference? You know what I mean? Yeah, that's my topic. You know, at the end of the day, yo soy mexicano, soy chicano, soy mexicano americano. Y al fin del día, también americano. Si tú vives en este país, con que digas que eres mexicano, tienes papeles, técnicamente ya no eres mexicano, eres americano. Pero es nomás para que se pongan las pilas. No hay que criticar. Somos uno al fin del día. Y el lenguaje no tiene nada que ver. Obvio, más poder para los que sepan español o los que sepan agua. O si nomás hablan inglés. Yo conozco gente orgulloso, como les digo, que no habla ni español. Hold on. My back. Que no habla ni español, puro inglés, pero ellos vienen ya de familia, como les digo, 3, 4, 5 generaciones. Tengo un compa que, ya se me olvidó cómo se llama, pero era Vicente, su hijo ya era Vicente el 6, nacidos aquí. El compa el mío era Vicente el 5 parece, y él tuvo su hijo y le puso Vicente el 6, pero no hablaban español. Pero eso, morenos así del sol, no morenos como negros, pero y sí, como les digo, hay que apoyarnos uno al otro, somos uno, y apoyar a los demás, como les dije en el otro video, we're all in this country together, you know what I mean? Al fin del día, you know, somos americanos, al fin del día, en realidad, somos americanos, todos los colores morenos, cafeses. Si se fijan, Los indios nativos de aquí son morenos, los indios de México son morenos, Guatemala, Honduras, el Centroamérica son morenos, sur son morenos, todo el americano somos nosotros los originales. So, tenemos derecho a decir que somos americanos. Estadounidenses, pues si viven aquí y pagan taxes, ni pedo, ya son también. Mientras no, si están y en otro caso, en otra cosa, en otro podemos hablar de esto, hay que enseñar a nuestros hijos a votar, porque si no, vamos a estar igual siempre. Mr. Dwell, aquí. Let me know what you think in the comments. Like and subscribe. This is my topic. What are we? Chicano, paisano, Mexicoamericano, pocho, americano. You know, like I said, I'm Mexican, I'm Chicano, I'm Mexican American, and then I'm Americano. But I have pride for my culture, for my raza. Que viva la raza. Peace.